The poison burned like ice in his veins, and Jackson Vale knew, without scanners, without alarms, that he was dying. His vision pulsed in slow, broken flashes. White lights. Red warnings. The echo of his own heartbeat. Too loud, too slow. The alien toxin was already rewriting him from the inside, unraveling nerves, silencing muscles, turning time into a collapsing tunnel. This was not how humans were supposed to die. Jackson lay on the metal floor of Dock Ring C, one hand pressed against his neck where the injector had pierced his skin. The smugglers were gone. The cargo was stolen. And the station's emergency systems were dark, sabotaged with professional precision. He tried to laugh. It came out as a wet breath. So this is it, he whispered to no one. Poisoned by aliens, in a station nobody cares about. The irony almost hurt more than the venom. Jackson had survived frontier wars, pirate raids, vacuum breaches, and one truly awful diplomatic dinner involving telepathic mollusks. He had outsmarted species that calculated probability faster than humans could blink. He had watched friends die and still kept moving. And now, he was losing to chemistry. The toxin was not fast. That was the cruel part. It was designed to be clean, subtle, and untraceable. By the time symptoms appeared, help was impossible. Muscles weakened first. Then vision. Then the slow collapse of the nervous system. A perfect assassination tool. Jackson's fingers twitched. His legs no longer responded. Through the curved viewport above him, space stretched endlessly, cold, silent, uncaring. Stars glittered like distant witnesses who would never testify. Guess humanity loses this round, he muttered. Then something impossible happened. The station sensors, dead moments ago, flickered. A shadow passed across the viewport. Jackson squinted, fighting the narrowing tunnel of his sight. A ship drifted into view, its hull smooth and organic, shaped like flowing obsidian wrapped in silver veins. No engines. No thrusters. It moved like a living thing, bending space instead of pushing against it. That was not a human design. The docking clamps engaged with a sound Jackson felt in his bones. Footsteps followed. Light ones. Unhurried. Confident. A figure emerged from the docking corridor. She was tall. Slender. Her skin was pale, almost luminous, as if it drank the station's light and gave it back softer. Her eyes were dark red, not glowing, but deep, like embers buried under ash. When she moved, it was with unnatural grace, every step perfectly balanced. And when she knelt beside him, Jackson noticed her teeth. Subtle. Sharp. Ah, he whispered weakly. That explains the hallucinations. She touched his wrist, two cool fingers pressing gently against his pulse. Her brow tightened almost imperceptibly. You are dying, she said. Her voice was calm, controlled, but there was tension beneath it. Yeah, Jackson breathed. That part's real. She inhaled sharply, as if steadying herself. Her gaze flicked to the puncture wound on his neck, then to the empty injector on the floor. Alien neurotoxin, she murmured. Military grade. Poorly refined, but effective. Jackson tried to focus on her face. So, angel of death, or miracle? Her eyes met his. Something old lived in that gaze. Ancient. Burdened. I am neither, she said softly. And I should not be here. That makes two of us. The numbness reached his chest. His breathing grew shallow. The station felt farther away with every second, like he was already drifting. She hesitated. For a vampire, hesitation was rare. Her kind, known across a dozen systems by different names, were feared for a reason. They fed on biochemical energy, not blood as humans imagined, but the myth was close enough to survive. Their saliva carried enzymes capable of breaking down almost any organic compound, including poisons. But there were rules. And consequences. You do not know what you ask, she said. Jackson smiled faintly. Didn't ask. Just, figured if I'm going out, I might as well see something interesting. The humor broke her composure. For a heartbeat, she looked almost human. Then alarms sounded in her mind, laws, warnings, centuries of restraint screaming at her to leave. Instead, she leaned closer. "This will bind traces of me to you," she whispered. "It may change you. It may fail. And if it succeeds, others of my kind will sense it." Jackson's vision blurred completely now. He could barely hear her. "Still better than dying," he managed. Her lips hovered above his. They were cool, trembling. "This is not mercy," she said. "This is defiance." Then she kissed him. The effect was instant and violent. Jackson arched as energy surged through his body, white-hot and electric. The poison screamed as it was torn apart at the molecular level, shattered by something far older and far more aggressive. Light exploded behind his eyes. The last thing he felt was her grip tightening, as if she were afraid to let go. And then, darkness. When Jackson woke, the universe felt wrong. Too sharp. Too loud. Too alive. His heart thundered like a war drum. His senses flooded with detail, the hum of the station, the faint ozone of damaged circuits, the distant echo of docking clamps cooling. He was breathing. He was alive. And standing beside the medbed, watching him with unreadable eyes, was the alien vampire who had just broken every law of her species. "You should be dead," she said quietly. Jackson swallowed, staring at her. "Funny," he rasped. "I was thinking the same thing." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You are not cured," she said. "Only postponed." Jackson exhaled slowly, a grin creeping across his face despite everything. "Then I guess," he said, "we just started something big." She did not deny it. Jackson Vale learned very quickly that being alive again did not mean being safe. His senses refused to settle. Every sound felt sharper than it should have been. The quiet hum of the station vibrated inside his skull. He could hear the faint click of metal cooling, the whisper of air cycling through vents 3 corridors away. Even his own heartbeat sounded louder, stronger, like it had been tuned to a different rhythm. He swung his legs off the medbed before the alien woman could stop him. "Bad idea," she said immediately. "Yeah," Jackson replied, steadying himself. "But I've never been good at waiting." To his surprise, his legs held. They felt strange, lighter, more responsive, as if his body was listening more closely to his intentions. He flexed his fingers and watched them move with unsettling precision. "What did you do to me?" he asked. She did not answer right away. Instead, she crossed the medbay and shut down the remaining diagnostic lights. The room dimmed, leaving only the soft glow from her skin and the stars beyond the viewport. "My name is Serelith," she said finally. "And what I did was not meant for humans." Jackson raised an eyebrow. "That makes 2 forbidden things today." Serelith ignored the joke. "My species does not simply neutralize poison. We overwrite it. My enzymes bonded with your cells to dismantle the toxin faster than your biology could collapse. And human biology is adaptive," she said carefully. "More than we expected." Jackson felt a strange tightening in his chest. "That sounds like the beginning of bad news." "Yes." She stepped closer and met his eyes. "The toxin is gone. But the enzyme traces remain. Your body is trying to understand them. Copy them." Jackson laughed softly. "Of course it is." Serelith frowned. "You do not seem afraid." "I was dying an hour ago," Jackson said. "This is an upgrade." That earned him a long, searching look. "You should be afraid," she said. "Because now, others will notice you." As if summoned by her words, the station lights flickered. Not power failure. Interference. Serelith turned sharply toward the viewport. Her posture shifted, every line of her body tightening like a drawn blade. "They felt it," she whispered. Jackson followed her gaze. Space rippled. Not visually, not in a way human eyes were meant to see, but something deep inside him reacted. His skin prickled. His heart rate changed. He felt the disturbance before the sensors screamed. Multiple signatures appeared on the tactical display. Unidentified. Non-human. Closing fast. Friends of yours? Jackson asked. Serelith shook her head. Predators. Observers. Lawkeepers. Opportunists. Sounds crowded. The galaxy is not kind to broken rules. Jackson moved toward the control panel without thinking. His hands flew over the interface, rerouting power, bringing dormant systems online. Serelith watched, startled. You should not know how to do that. Jackson paused, realizing she was right. I don't, he said slowly. But it feels obvious. His mind felt clearer than it ever had, patterns snapping into place faster than thought. The station's old systems suddenly made sense, not just what they did, but how they wanted to behave. Human intuition. Amplified. Serelith stepped back. Your species was already dangerous. Jackson smirked. We hear that a lot. The first hostile vessel decloaked without warning. It was angular, brutal, built for intimidation rather than beauty. Its weapons charged openly, unconcerned with stealth. A broadcast cut through the station. Unregistered human, a cold voice echoed. You are in possession of Navali biochemical signatures. Surrender yourself for containment. Serelith hissed softly. They detected the bond. Jackson leaned back in the chair. Containment sounds unpleasant. You would not survive it. Well, he said, eyes flicking over the data streaming faster than the station should allow. Good thing humans don't like being collected. He rerouted the station's power grid, overclocking systems that should not have woken up at all. Ancient thrusters roared. Emergency plating shifted. Serelith stared. This station should not respond that way. Neither should I, Jackson replied. Yet here we are. A second ship appeared. Then a third. Different designs. Different factions. All interested. They will not negotiate, Serelith said. They never do. Jackson's jaw tightened. Then neither will we. He opened a channel, not to the attackers, but outward, broadcasting on every civilian and fringe frequency humans had ever used. This is Jackson Vale of the Terran Fringe, he said calmly. If anyone's listening, someone just tried to erase me quietly. And now they're trying again. Serelith looked at him sharply. You are calling for help. No, Jackson said. I'm calling attention. The response was not immediate. But space has memory. Old freighters. Independent miners. Fringe militias. Smugglers who owed humans favors. Explorers who remembered how humans shared air when others wouldn't. Signals began to echo back. Not fleets, but presence. The attacking ships hesitated. Just for a moment. That moment was enough. Jackson slammed the final command. The station's reactor surged, not into weapons, but into its gravity stabilizers. A trick humans had learned the hard way. If you can't outgun something, make space itself uncomfortable. Gravity waves rippled outward, distorting targeting solutions, throwing precise alien calculations into chaos. The first shot missed. The second ship veered. Serelith stared at him, or slipping through her controlled exterior. You turned a dying station into a weapon. Jackson shrugged. Improvisation is kind of our thing. Alarms howled across the station as systems strained past safety limits. The attackers regrouped. They will return with overwhelming force, Serelith said. You cannot win this alone. Jackson looked at her. Really looked. Then don't make me do it alone. Her breath caught. You are asking me to stand against my own kind. I'm asking you to stand with humanity, he said. Just this once. Outside, alien ships pulled back, recalculating. Inside, something far larger than a rescue was unfolding. Serelith closed her eyes. Then she nodded. Very well, human, she said quietly. If they want you, they will have to face us. Jackson smiled. Welcome to the problem. The alien ships did not attack right away. They watched. That alone told Jackson everything he needed to know. Predators that paused were predators who feared something they did not yet understand. Jackson stood at the command console, breathing slow, feeling the station through his fingertips. He no longer saw systems as separate parts. Power, gravity, shields, sensors, they felt connected, like muscles in a living body. When one strained, the others compensated. When one failed, another adapted. Human systems were not built this way. But humans were. Serelith remained near the viewport, her attention divided between the stars and Jackson himself. She could feel it too now, the subtle change in the space around him, the faint echo of her own biology responding to his presence. This should not be possible, she said quietly. Jackson didn't look away from the data stream. You keep saying that. Yes, she replied. Because reality keeps disagreeing with us. The first message arrived not from the hostile ships, but from somewhere far older. A transmission bypassed normal channels, slipping through the station sensors like a whisper through a locked door. Serelith stiffened instantly. That frequency, she murmured. That is not a fleet. Jackson frowned. That's worse, isn't it? She nodded once. It is a tribunal. The display shimmered, resolving into a symbol instead of a face. A layered geometric pattern that hurt to look at directly, its edges shifting subtly as if space itself refused to define it. A voice followed, not loud, not threatening, but impossibly certain. Human Jackson Vale, it said. You now carry Navali enzyme resonance. State your claim to it. Jackson crossed his arms. Funny thing about humans, he said calmly. We don't really believe in claiming people. The silence that followed was heavy. Serelith whispered urgently, You are speaking to something that can erase entire bloodlines. Jackson shrugged. Then it should appreciate honesty. The symbol pulsed. Your species is inefficient, the voice said. Fragile. Short-lived. Yet you adapt faster than projected. Explain. Jackson glanced at Serelith, then back to the display. We don't wait for permission. The hostile ships shifted uneasily. Their formations tightened. The tribunal spoke again. The enzyme transfer should have stabilized for mere hours. Instead, it is integrating. Serelith's breath caught. That is not possible. It is happening, the tribunal replied. The human neural structure is not rejecting Navali biochemistry. It is learning from it. Jackson felt it then. A warmth beneath his skin. Not power, not hunger, connection. His body was not copying Serelith's enzymes. It was studying how they worked and rewriting its own responses. Evolution in real time. We warned the galaxy about humans, the tribunal continued. They do not merely survive contact. They change from it. Jackson leaned forward. So what now? You kill me to stop it. A pause. Termination would be inefficient, the tribunal admitted. The adaptation has already begun. Others of your species will replicate it. Serelith turned sharply. That is impossible. He was dying. The transfer required direct contact. The tribunal symbol shifted again. Humans share information, it said. Even under threat. Especially under threat. Jackson smiled slowly. Told you. The tribunal addressed Serelith directly. You violated containment laws. I saved a life, she said, her voice firm despite the tremor beneath it. You altered the balance. Serelith lifted her chin. The balance was already broken. You were willing to let colonies die to preserve it. The hostile ships powered weapons in response. Jackson slammed his hand onto the console. The station responded instantly. Gravity inverted for half a second. Just enough. Alien targeting systems failed catastrophically. One ship spiraled out of formation, barely stabilizing before colliding with another. Shields flared. Panic rippled. Jackson did not smile this time. You're not in control anymore, he said. And you know it. The tribunal's voice softened, not in mercy, but calculation. Your species is approaching a threshold. Yeah, Jackson replied. We tend to do that. Serelith watched him now with something dangerously close to reverence. You are becoming a signal, she whispered. Others like me will feel you. And others like me, Jackson said, will ask why we're still letting ourselves be poisoned in the dark. The tribunal spoke its final words. Very well, human. The galaxy will adapt, or fracture. The symbol vanished. The hostile ships retreated, not defeated, but warned. Silence returned to the station. Serelith exhaled shakily. You should not exist. Jackson turned to her. Neither should you. Guess we're even. She studied him, truly seeing him now, not as a dying man, not as a human curiosity, but as something new. You are dangerous, she said. He nodded. So are you. Outside, human signals multiplied. Inside, the future shifted. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, ancient species began rewriting their models. Because humanity had just proven something terrifying. When humans are saved, they don't stay saved. The galaxy did not panic. That worried Jackson more than if it had. Within hours, space around the station grew crowded, not with attackers, but with watchers. Silent arrays appeared at the edges of sensor range. Listening devices older than some civilizations adjusted their focus. Diplomatic channels that had ignored humanity for decades suddenly opened, then closed, then reopened with carefully chosen silence. Containment had begun. They are isolating us, Serelith said quietly. Not with weapons. With distance. Jackson leaned back in the command chair, eyes scanning the shifting patterns. Classic move. If you can't kill the problem, starve it. They will quarantine human space, she said. Trade routes. Data relays. Medical access. Slowly, cleanly. Jackson's jaw tightened. They think we'll fold. They think you will fracture, Serelith corrected. Most species do. A signal chimed. Human. Old encryption. Frontier grade. Low power. Jackson opened it. Faces filled the display. Captains, engineers, medics, miners. People with tired eyes and stubborn expressions. People who had survived because no one else bothered to help them. You lit up half the fringe, a woman said. We felt it. Jackson exhaled. Good. Means the message got through. We're cut off, another voice added. Supplies delayed. Ports closed. They're pretending it's temporary. Jackson nodded. It never is. A pause. Then the woman leaned forward. So what do we do? Jackson didn't hesitate. What we always do. He shared everything. The toxin. The enzymes. The adaptation. Not formulas, not yet, but principles. Observations. Human intuition layered over alien impossibility. Serelith watched in stunned silence. You are giving them fragments of Navali biochemistry, she whispered. No, Jackson said. I'm giving them permission to experiment. Across human space, minds ignited. Scientists who had been ignored. Engineers who worked miracles with scrap. Medics who had learned to improvise because help never arrived on time. They didn't try to copy the enzyme. They tried to understand it. Within days, the first results came in. Not cures. Workarounds. Human-designed counteragents that didn't neutralize alien toxins, but slowed them long enough for bodies to adapt. Crude. Imperfect. Brilliant. The galaxy noticed. Containment tightened. Alien patrols blocked routes. Sanctions layered over sanctions. Threats wrapped in politeness. The tribunal returned. You are accelerating instability, it said. Stand down. Jackson crossed his arms. No. Serelith stepped beside him. This will not end peacefully. It never does, Jackson replied. The tribunal shifted its approach. They targeted Serelith. Return, it commanded. Your presence among humans contaminates them. Serelith closed her eyes. She felt it then, The pull. The ancient call of her people, encoded deep in her biology. A summons that had never been refused. Until now. She looked at Jackson. At the station. At the human signals still streaming in, stubborn and hopeful. If I return, she said slowly, they will dissect what I did. Jackson nodded. And if you don't? They will brand me a traitor. He met her gaze. Welcome to humanity. The tribunal's patience ended. Space folded. A containment field snapped into place around the station, massive and precise. Gravity spiked. Power grids screamed. Jackson slammed his hands onto the console, fighting the pressure. Serelith staggered, clutching her chest as ancient failsafes activated inside her. They are trying to pull me through subspace, she gasped. Jackson reacted without thinking. He reached for her. The moment their hands touched, something answered. Not Navali. Human. A surge rippled outward, not raw force, but synchronization. The station, the field, the human ships at the edge of isolation, all of it aligned, systems resonating through shared patterns. Human networks did not centralize. They distributed. The containment field flickered. Human ships, old, mismatched, fearless, pushed power into it from dozens of angles. Not breaking it. Overloading its assumptions. The tribunal faltered. This configuration is inefficient, it said. Jackson grinned through the strain. So was flight, once. The field shattered. Serelith collapsed to her knees, breathing hard, but free. The tribunal vanished without another word. Silence followed. Then cheering filled the channel. Human voices. Human laughter. Relief and/or tangled together. Serelith stared at Jackson, something fierce and fragile in her eyes. You turned isolation into connection. He shrugged weakly. We're bad at being alone. She laughed, really laughed, for the first time. You have changed the balance, she said. Jackson helped her to her feet. No. We joined it. Far away, alien civilizations recalculated. Some prepared defenses. Others prepared diplomacy. All of them marked humanity as something new. Not a threat. Not an ally. But a force that refused to stay contained. And as Serelith looked out at the stars beside Jackson Vale, she understood the truth that terrified the galaxy most. Humanity had not stolen power. They had shared survival. The galaxy finally spoke with one voice. Not through fleets. Not through threats. Through a decision. Every major transit lane near human space went dark at once. Not blocked. Not mined. Simply withdrawn. Beacons shut down. Navigation constants removed. The stars themselves seemed to turn their backs. They're erasing the map, Serelith said quietly. Jackson stared at the display. They think if no one can reach us, we'll disappear. For most species, she said, that would work. Jackson smiled faintly. Then they still don't understand us. Human space did not collapse. It adapted. Without galactic lanes, humans began building their own navigation web. Messy. Redundant. Personal. Pilots shared routes the way stories were shared, imperfect, alive, passed hand to hand. No central authority. No single point of failure. Isolation became independence. Weeks passed. Then months. And something unexpected happened. Alien ships began to arrive anyway. Not warships. Small vessels. Research craft. Civilian envoys. Species that had watched humanity survive poison, isolation, and pressure without turning inward. They came quietly. They came curious. The first envoy spoke plainly. Your kind should not have survived this. Jackson nodded. We hear that a lot. Others followed. They did not ask for weapons. They asked questions. How had humans resisted biochemical domination? How had they turned partial data into working solutions? How had they unified without command? Humans answered honestly. We share, they said. We fail fast. We don't wait to be perfect. Serelith watched these exchanges with awe and unease. They are learning from you. Jackson glanced at her. Good. They will change. So did we. The tribunal returned one last time. Not as a threat. As observers. You have destabilized long-standing hierarchies, it said. Jackson folded his arms. We didn't ask permission to exist. You have created precedent. Someone had to. The tribunal studied Serelith. And you. She stepped forward. I broke your laws, she said calmly. And I would do it again. Silence stretched. Then the tribunal spoke words no one expected. Your actions revealed a flaw, it admitted. We preserved order at the cost of growth. Jackson raised an eyebrow. That sounds almost like an apology. Do not mistake recognition for regret, the tribunal replied. But adaptation is necessary. It withdrew. Not defeated. Changed. Life settled into a new pattern. Humans became something the galaxy had never had before. A bridge. They were not the strongest. Not the oldest. Not the most advanced. But they were willing to stand between forces that refused to understand each other and translate survival into cooperation. Serelith stayed. She could have returned to her people. The call still existed, quieter now, uncertain. But she chose to remain among humans. Not as an exile. As an ambassador of something new. One evening, she and Jackson stood together in the observation deck, stars scattered like possibilities. You know, Jackson said, most people would say that Kiss ruined their life. Serelith smiled softly. Did it ruin yours? He considered it. I was a freight runner, he said. Invisible. Replaceable. Now the galaxy knows my species exists. She nodded. And my people know they were wrong. They stood in silence. You saved me, Jackson said finally. Serelith shook her head. No. I delayed your death. And that was enough. She looked at him then, really looked at him. You are not special because of what I gave you, she said. You are special because of what you did with it. Jackson smiled. That's kind of our whole thing. Far across the stars, human children would grow up hearing stories of the day poison failed to kill one man. Of the day the galaxy learned that saving a human did not create gratitude. It created momentum. Humanity did not rise by conquest. They did not dominate by force. They survived. They shared. They adapted. And because of that, the galaxy would never again see humans as weak. Only as inevitable.